Well, good evening, everybody out there joining us, Facebook viewers, YouTube viewers. Super happy to see you guys again tonight. It is time for the Stock Talk Thursday. Is it hot or not? Special episode tonight. I think you guys are going to love this. We normally spend our time on a Thursday evening looking at one topic, one stock, one asset, something in particular that we are going to decide by the end of the broadcast. Is it hot or is it not? That is what we do on here tonight. I'm going to do a little spin on that. I think you guys are going to like this because these are a few simple, what I call hacks, you might say tips, that you can use, you can utilize, that are going to help you decide whether or not we're looking at something hot or not. And I'm going to give you some very, very simple and basic, easy to do, easy to access tools that will help you decide that. I think somebody out there is going to get excited at that idea. And this is who we are here at Tradeway, right? We do not have 50,000 plus students that we just tell every day, go buy this, go buy that. We help people not as the saying goes, I believe I said this last week, we're not just going to give fish, we're going to teach you to fish, right? The saying that if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, teach him to fish, feed for a lifetime. That's really what Tradeway is all about. Nobody cares about your money more than you do. So that is going to be where we're going to go. And I'm going to, of course, tell you more about that in a minute. What do you really mean, Blair? What are you talking about? I'm excited. I want to hear what these things are because they are simple and you can do them. Instead of listening to Blair say this is hot or not, which of course we're going to continue to do, but I want to give you something tonight that's going to help you make those decisions. It's interesting. Obviously, the context is quite a bit different, but when you look in the book of Acts, when the Apostle Paul would speak and teach and preach, there were people that he met, in particular, this group they called the Bereans, and they actually went and studied to say, are these things we're hearing actually true? Right? Obviously a very different context, but what's the point? Well, the principle is the same. You want to be able to make good, discerning financial trading decisions, and I am going to help you tonight to know just a little bit more on how to do that. And that, of course, is my goal on here. My good friend Jeffrey is joining us, and I always say, Jeffrey, he knows all the things I say. He's with us every single week. It's my goal to help you win. That's what I want you to do. And that's not just a thing I say. I really do come on here thinking, what am I going to bring that's going to help you guys to win? That said, I mentioned last week, as we do these broadcasts, if at any point you've got some things, some questions that you would like covered in a future broadcast, you can always let us know right there on Facebook or YouTube. For those of you who are joining us on recording, you weren't able to join us live tonight, I am thinking of you. I have you in mind no matter where you're joining us from tonight. So you can also reach out. Let me know if there's something that you want to look at, something you want covered. I would be happy to consider that for a future episode because I really do want to help you win and meet you where you're at to do that. That said, we've got some other folks on here tonight. Susan, I see you there. Mario, I see you there. Susan is the queen of tagging other people, right? You know what I'm talking about. Tagging other people in the comments because there might be somebody else that you know who's not able to be with us, or maybe they don't even know about these broadcasts yet. And you can tag their name on Facebook and they will be notified of this broadcast. It helps link them right to it. So you can always do that. You can always share. Make sure you're liking the Facebook page. It will keep you notified. You're subscribing and following on YouTube. It doesn't sign you up for a bunch of things from us, except that we will let you know anytime that we go live. Joshua, good to see you too tonight, man. Joining us from YouTube. We got people from all over the place. So, okay, that said, if you've got comments, questions, concerns, disagreements, and arguments, you can send those in to me as we're talking tonight. Tonight, I think, as I said, be a little bit different. I think this is going to be really eye-opening for some people, empowering. I hope this is empowering for some people out there, but it is simple, okay? How many out there are like, you said powerful and simple. Blair, if you can actually deliver on that, right? If you can actually give me powerful and simple, that would be sweet. That would be sweet. All right. I'm going to take up that challenge. I'm going to take up that challenge because it's actually very simple. And what's our goal here? I always like to say, say where we're going to go and then go there. Well, the goal here is that you would have a few tangible, practical tips that you can implement to start to look at a stock. We're going to look at stocks. We're going to talk about stocks. This is Stock Talk Thursday after all. And you can use these tools to go, how is this stock really doing? Is this stock hot or not? Because, we could think a stock is hot because it's being talked about. And you guys have seen me now. If you've been joining on these broadcasts, you've seen, sometimes there's something that we maybe come into the show on a Thursday night thinking, well, for sure, that's hot. But I may not say something that other people say because I'm helping you guys see it a little bit differently. Now, let me just give you a general but practical example to start. Maybe a stock is zooming up, right? It's been moving up. You say, well, isn't that hot? Yeah, on one level, sure. It's hot in that the stock is taking off. But my goal is to equip you as traders. That's what we do at Tradeway, okay? Now, you're going to learn a lot of general investment knowledge on our Market Monday broadcasts and our Stock Talk Thursdays. Certainly, that is something that will always be a part of these broadcasts, but we're really helping folks take control of their finances. The investment of time that we're making together on these broadcasts is really to help us build a framework of how can I use trading to take control of my finances, okay? How can I use trading in a capacity that actually could potentially replace some income needs in my life, and in some cases, potentially replace an entire income, okay? So we're not thinking small here. We're thinking about what is possible. And when I think in that realm and I talk about a stock that's maybe zooming up, it's not necessarily a hot stock for me just because it's going up. It has to be a hot stock for me because it has a lot of potential to go up, yes, but it also has to have an acceptable amount of risk. Okay, that's one example. Now, that's beyond specifically what we're going to get into tonight, and that's probably more of what we cover on our Market Monday broadcast. If you're not joining us there, you're missing out on a lot of that information. There's just too much to do in one broadcast. So we got to stay on point here. But you see that one thing can say, well, maybe Blair, there's a perspective that I can have looking at a stock that my neighbor who has no training, God bless them, may think, oh, that's definitely a hot stock. I would buy that in a heartbeat. And you'd go, ooh, I don't know. Let me just say this. I know a lot of folks who went ahead and jumped into Wall Street bets, and it's not feeling so hot to them right now, right? Right? You might have said the stock was really hot, but was the opportunity hot? No, at least not at that point in time. So we need some skills to know when an opportunity is hot, okay? And I want to look at some of that tonight, and I think you're going to like it. So that said, as I'm moving, just remind you guys, any questions you might have as we're going along. I feel like, I do a lot of these broadcasts. I do a lot of interaction with students. The whole world uses a lot of Zoom for sure. But I get to do a lot of this stuff, and I love that. It's a privilege. It's a pleasure. And in particular, this week, for whatever reason, a lot of students have really come out of their shell and just asked the question that they've been wanting to ask. And it has radically changed a lot of the classes that I've been running for the benefit of all the other students in those classes. So I say that to highly encourage you, as you know, I try to always do, because it helps me know where you're at. And I'm not here to just be a talking head. I want to help you where you're at. We're going to dive into some charts tonight. Particularly, we're going to look at some software that I think is really going to drive home one of the points that I have. So here's what I want to do. I want to give you a few simple keys on how to find hot stocks and for you to find hot stocks. These really are very simple keys, okay? Because we all want to find them. The question is how? How can I find them, okay? So here's what I'm going to do. Share my screen. Jeffrey says we love watching. I'm happy to hear that. Share the screen. Now, go here. Yeah, there we go. All righty. You go, whoa, what are we looking at here? Well, if you followed along on here, you've seen this chart many times. And this is kind of our home base. This is our go-to. I'm just going to clean up some of the noise. Today, at least to start, it's really not that important that we look at the price action on this chart. Okay, that's not where we're going to start. I want to show you two simple things. Remember, I said these are very, very simple. Okay. The first thing, actually, I'm in my mind, I'm calling an audible. I think it'll be a little bit more helpful if we flip the two things that I was going to show you. Okay, so the first thing is this, and we have looked at this before. Okay. The first thing we need is charting software. Okay, I'm going to go a little deeper than that. Okay, that's not the whole thing. I'm going to go deeper than that, but I do want to say this. Charting software. Listen, you can listen to Jim Cramer, right? You can read CNBC. You can just pick your favorite company and jump on Robinhood or some brokerage app, right? We can all do that. We can just look at percentages on our Apple, right? Our iPhone, the iOS stock app, or whatever it is. We can get a newsletter. There's endless ways we could go, okay, how do I find a hot stock? Well, it might seem like kind of an obvious one for me to say on here, or a basic one, because we've done this, right? We've used this tool to look at stocks since the very beginning of our time together last year, right? On any of our broadcasts. But for you at home, it's never been, you guys have heard me say this, it's never been easier for you to access this information for yourself, okay? Looking at a stock chart is how you are really going to learn to find hot stocks. And for some of us, if you've watched me or some other coaches on here, you join us on Tuesdays for our Trading Tip Tuesday or Market Monday. We're pulling up charts fairly regularly. Well, at some point, I invite you to cross over that as well. If you haven't already, I know some of you guys have for sure, and I know some of you guys out there are Tradeway students, and so you've done this right off the bat, right? Because it's a fundamental tool that is necessary, not beneficial alone, but necessary to be able to start making decisions. Now, you can see I'm using a specific charting software up here. There are different ones. I'm going to tell you a couple that we use, and we've talked about this a little bit before. This one is very easy to bring up on screen share, and I just use this one all the time. But at Tradeway, there's some folks who use some different ones. So that aside, charting software is actually going to show you the stocks, right? This is like I feel like this is just what gets us out of driving blind. Without charts, we're just driving blind. And that's not how we trade. We can't trade that way, right? So looking at this, now let me show you a couple other things here. Okay, I said we're going to go a little bit deeper on this. Some of the things that these charting software could do. Now, the most obvious thing I said is showing us the price, right? It can show us the price. We're going to come back to that in a second. But we've got a couple things. One, you've got watch lists in these in your software. Now, they don't auto-populate these watch lists. So this is a side note. We've got to have a watch list, right? There are over 8,000 publicly traded companies on the New York Stock Exchange. And on top of that, you've got mutual funds, you've got financial products that are traded, you've got ETFs. So there are a lot of different stocks, each one of them identified by its own unique ticker symbol, right? Just you can see these codes over here, MRO, MDB, DVN, Apple, AAPL, Netflix, NFLX, whatever the case might be. So you got a lot to choose from. Well, we first need to narrow that down. Okay, we need to narrow that down, and we do that with watch lists. So how can you start that? Well, what you could do is basically, we looked at sectors 2 weeks ago. If you haven't seen that episode or you recall that, you could go back. You can start to add some different companies that are popular, healthy growth companies in some of those sectors. You could populate a watch list. You'd have to do some of the homework there. Okay, that's how you could do that. Even just some companies you know are popular or they're really common stocks, maybe stocks we've talked about a lot on here and on our broadcasts. You can add those in there. Ultimately, at Tradeway, we provide those lists to you. Okay, so we have multiple programs, but the entry-level one is our Insider Plus program, and that is going to provide lists to you. Okay, so you have a good foundation to start whatever your charting software is, which is what we're looking at right now. It's going to give you a bunch of lists that will populate in the software so you don't have to start from scratch, and you can look at specific stocks that we've actually gone through and done some of the homework to see if those are some of the best ones that are available out there. So that is one thing I want to hit on quick. Now, that's not my main focus here. I just want you to understand that, because we're going to look at a watch list and you say, well, Blair, how do I put any stocks in my own watch list? Well, that's how, okay? Otherwise, it's just going to show you absolutely everything. It's going to show you every stock that's available. And that's a lot of noise. But I want to show you two simple things. This is how it looks in this software, but you can actually do this and more in other softwares, whether it's the one we're looking at right now, which is tradingview.com. You could use TC2000. Almost all of our students at Tradeway use TC2000 charting software, or Thinkorswim. A lot of people use the Thinkorswim platform. If you're not really sure what I'm talking about, that's okay. You know, we do a deeper dive on this stuff in our programs, but those are other examples of what I'm showing you here today. It is an absolutely essential, fundamental tool. If you're going to find hot stocks and be able to do anything meaningful with those, we need to have some kind of charting software. And just as a disclaimer here, you know, this charting software I'm showing you right now, Jeffrey says, watch lists are our noise canceling headphones, cutting out some of the extra, right? So you can what? So you can focus. So you can focus. That's the whole point. I don't get some kickback for showing you tradingview.com or anything. So just, you know, keep that in mind. This is just something I'm showing you on here. So let me just show you a couple of simple things, right? I want you to see this. Okay. Over here, I've got a watch list. This is just a general watch list. Okay. You can see all these stocks. This is a big list. I've got a lot of stocks in this list. Well, what's something cool that a charting software could help you do? Well, notice I've got different fields up here, right? Symbol, the last price that was traded on that stock. That's kind of cool. What's the price change in dollars? What's the price change in percent? And that's for that day. In this case, of course, would be Thursday. Now, the stock market is closed. The session is over. Tomorrow is a holiday, so the market is not open tomorrow. Keep that in mind. But I could change these to be whatever. I could add volume of shares traded and all kinds of stuff. But we're just keeping it simple today. What's one thing I can do? And I've actually already done it. I've clicked it, but we can go ahead and reverse it. I can simply click, and that entire watch list, that really long watch list I just took you through, it's going to sort them. Which ones on that watch list are exploding? Which ones are really moving? Okay. This one's up over 10% on the day. Okay. This one's up $22.90. This is up 8.5% on the day. I could go to one of my other watch lists, right? I've got watch lists for just specific industries. I could go into there and go, okay, which one is the highest today? Which one is performing? You can see that one's got a big gap. I can just use these simple tools to tell me which ones are moving the biggest. Now, you say, well, Blair, I'm just going to remove the drawings there. You say, okay, wow, that's a way I can sort. I can also just go the opposite way, right? Now, everything in tech in this list was up today. I told our students 2 days ago, we've got to watch the tech industry because that is going to decide whether or not this market's going to continue to move up the last few days or not. And that is exactly what happened. Today, tech really followed through, and the S&P 500 closed not only at a new all-time high today, but above 4,000 for the very first time ever. So I was trying to show you something here on that list. And I actually can't show you anything negative because there were no negative stocks in that watch list. They were all tech stocks. Not to say that absolutely every tech stock went up today. That wouldn't be true. And if it is, I don't know that. They're not all included in the list. But look at this. I could go the highest ones, and then I can also go the other way and just simply use the software to tell me, hey, what in my list is getting beaten up? Now, how could this help me? If I'm looking for a stock trade in a watch list, or I'm looking, maybe I know how to do options. I'm actually looking for a down trade. I want the stock to fall. Somebody says, I didn't know we could do that. You can do that. You've got to learn how to trade options. The option will actually increase in price, meaning you and I could make money as the stock goes down. That gives us twice, or double, I should say more accurately, really double the opportunities, right? Twice the opportunities if we know how to do that. So what stocks are getting crushed, right? What stocks are doing really bad? And then I can go to those and go, well, okay, are those in some positions where I could start to make decisions on whether or not I could trade that? So what am I saying? Very basic tool. Very basic tool. What's hot? What's not? Bam. Got a watch list? It can tell me. It's going to tell me, Blair, today, this is what's hot. This is what's not. Now, you say, well, what if I want to dive a little deeper than that? Well, you know, and this is something I said, other software has the same capability. This is just something you could do on here. I'm going to make sure this is good and visible. Yeah, okay, good. What's something else I could do here? Well, look at the bottom. I have actually opened up in this particular software what's called a screen or a scan. Now, we're not going to go through all the details of how to do a scan here, but what I can do is I can set all kinds of parameters, right? All kinds of parameters, metrics, that's the word I'm looking for, that say, all right, here's what I want. I want a stock that has gone up this much every day for the last X amount of days. I want to make sure it has at least 10 million shares traded every day because I want lots of volume because those tend to be more reliable stocks. They have better what we call bid-ask spreads. We haven't gone into that in detail on here. We've looked at it a little bit. It's better for me as a buyer. I could go down the list. All these different things that I want to do, I can tell the software, hey, find this for me. So I don't have to spend the time looking for it. All I have to do is know how to use the scan. So you say, well, how do I find hot stocks? Well, get on a charting software. Let's have our watch list sorted in an instant. Then I can go and I can do some scans in that watch list or across the entire stock market, right? That's the beauty of technology. Remember I said we've got those 8,000 plus companies plus all the ETFs and everything else that's traded out there. What if I could just scan all of that and say, I want to see A, B, C, X, Y, and Z. And in an instant, it will find that for me. So now I've got a list that I can go through and do the next step. The next step in identifying stocks that are hot or not. And there are so many different things that you can do. I think I know how to, so many different things that you could look for. And we would teach you some of the basic things. I mentioned some of them already, okay? How much has that price gone up? How many days in a row has it done it? We can look for things that are at 52-week highs, which is, of course, a year. I can go minimum amount of shares traded to cut out some of the crummy penny stocks and things like that. All this kind of stuff can be extremely helpful, but it takes a little bit of walking through it, a little bit of getting used to it. However, the charting software does most of the work. Now, I don't think this thing is going to go back to, it's a little bit slow. So let me go ahead and just say, well, what's the next thing? Using scans could be an idea for a future talk. Oh, totally. Totally. And in fact, we actually have something for those of you who are interested. At Tradeway, we have something where we show you how to use scans on a deeper level on the Thinkorswim platform. Thinkorswim platform. It's the Cadillac of these platforms. Okay, so that is something that we do as well. Okay, now I mentioned we got a couple of things. I'm going to just go ahead. I'm going to pop this in here for those of you that are interested. If you are not in any of our programs, okay, I want to send this out. This is something you can sign up. You get access to so many different things, okay? But watch lists are one of those things. You get access to me. You get access to weekly webinars. You get access to coaching. You get access to all kinds of stuff. I posted it there. That's where you can start to get some watch lists. So if anybody's interested in that, that's where the link is. Okay. So I also said there's this another piece we've got to get to. Okay. Well, this one is very simple as well. It really is. This one's hiding in plain sight. Now I'm going to see if I can't. There we go. Okay. Now I've already got the lines on here and we've talked about this one many times. Okay. This is something that if you wanted to go through a watch list, if you wanted to set a scan, if you wanted to look at a chart and instantly, without doing a lot of technical stuff, you can see I've got lines on there and there's colored lines, which are moving averages. And what's that weird green thing across the bottom of the screen? Without knowing, doing, understanding any of that, you could look at this chart, and if you just train just a little bit of time training yourself, you'd know instantly, this is a stock I'm interested in, right? You may not turn right around and buy it, okay? You may not turn right around and buy it. There's some more steps we need to do before we're ready to push that button. But to get interested, to say, ooh, this is a hot stock, it's actually right in front of us. Right? It's right in front of us right now. And we've talked about it on here so many times. When I see this chart, I go, yep, I like it. Why? What is it? What am I seeing here? What am I seeing on here? It's in an uptrend. Somebody's going, wah, wah, right? It's in an uptrend. If I have charting software, if I have the ability to look at this, right, I can go in and go two things. I'm looking for two things. This is very, very clear, very simple. From the left side of the chart to the right side of the chart is a diagonal line. Is it a perfect straight line? No, of course not. It's doing these peaks and valleys, isn't it? It's rolling up and down. And that's number two, right? Number one, from left to right, is it up? Is it higher? That's number one. Number two, is it making ebbs and flows, peaks and valleys that I can identify fairly easily? You know, because I can look, sometimes I look at a chart or a student will ask a question And it is going left to right, but it's really just kind of messy, right? The peaks and valleys is how I like to say it. Not very clear, right? Not super clear, and you want it to be clear. You say, well, if it's not super clear, does that mean it's impossible to make money on it? No, it's not. It's not, but it will require more of a skill set, right? And it's just harder to discern right off the bat, is it a hot stock or not? It's just harder to discern right away, what would I do with it? Because when the pattern is really clear, those lines you can see on there, it takes me, and of course I've had lots of practice now, but it's going to take anybody only a little bit of time to go, oh, I see where those lines go. You'll notice on this pattern, which of course is the S&P 500, we've looked at this many times. This is where I usually teach from. The tops, right? The peaks, remember I said peaks and valleys? They seem to change, don't they? They don't always go the same height. And of course, at one time, if I can just quickly do this, we didn't have all this over here. We just had this. So what was happening? Well, it's using this line. Boom, up and down, up and down. But after all this time, from November until now, it's using the same support line. The same support line the whole time. This pattern has held true for quite a long time. So I'm looking for an uptrend. Now, that's not the only pattern. It's not the only pattern we trade. Just because you don't see an uptrend doesn't mean there can't be another kind of opportunity. But that takes a different skill set. We need some different training. Looking for hot stocks, I go, okay, what if I had a way to look at the price? And what if I had a watch list of good quality companies and stocks? And what if I could instantly sort that watch list? What if I could use a scan to look through that, maybe that big watch list or maybe every stock, to find very specific things that I'm looking for, which of course we teach you. These are some things that are very important for the stocks that we trade, right? We teach our students there are certain stocks we would never trade. I mentioned volume. That's one aspect, okay? There is a minimum level of volume that we teach our students to look for. Anything that's traded on average below that, we skip it. If it's traded on average above that, then it's in the green. We can continue the process. The scan helps us do that very quickly. What if I use the scan? Okay, now I've got a shorter watch list, Blair. Okay, what do I do now? Let's go through and let's look for uptrends. Let's look for good uptrends. Do you realize this? I'm telling you, listen, I'm telling you. What we're going over tonight when it comes to trading, okay, we ask for an oak tree and we get an acorn, okay? I'm telling you, this is the acorn of new beginnings. This is the acorn of new beginnings. It really is, because the process I just described is being able to take a ton of noise. Now, not just 8,000 publicly traded, all the other noise of everybody out there who wants to tell us what to buy and what to sell and what to do and all this. Whoa, so much noise, so much noise. How do I make the decision for myself? How do I partner at the very least in the decision? Okay. Well, I just described that process. These tools are extremely powerful to help you do that. So if you learn to use them, then they can serve you, right? They can really serve you. And that, of course, is why I think this was the discussion to have tonight. At this point in time, these are the simple tools kind of starting to put the process together of where would I even begin to look for a hot stock? How could I even do that? For those of us who've never done any of this before, this is a doorway into a whole new room, right? Because if we didn't know that there was something out there that did a lot of the legwork for us, how would we do it? You know, back in the day, you could just look in the back of the newspaper and it was pages and pages of tickers and quotes, opening price, close price at the end of the day. And that's it, right? Technology has changed everything. everything for us. And this is one of those examples. Jeffrey said, I've subscribed to Trader Max membership for over a year. It's full of value, and I plan on upgrading to the pro level as soon as I'm ready. So we just want to walk through the process. And that's something, as I mentioned, I popped that link in there because you get access to those watch lists. And I want to let you know this week, well, that's not true. It's not this week. It starts on Monday. Tradeway has our trading boot camp. You say, Blair, I'm interested in what you're talking about. I'm intrigued, but I know I just don't have the training, and you can't go through everything in a 35, 45-minute broadcast. So how do I really learn to do this? I always liken it. It's like we have oil under our feet, but it's a matter of having the resources to get down to it. You might know it's there, but you got to get to it. Well, we're going to do a 4-day trading boot camp. Okay, this is going to be an intensive for 4 days next week. We're going to take you from A to Z. We're going to talk mindset. We're going to talk skill set. We're going to talk tool set, which is what we touched on today. We're going to put it all together so that when you get to think about this, Monday to Thursday, a lack of confidence, gone. Lack of expertise, gone. Oil in the ground, so to speak, that I don't know how to get to, gone. Confidence that I could use what millions of people, as I've said on here many times, record numbers of people coming and opening brokerage accounts are saying, hey, I'm not going to be passive on this stock market thing anymore. It's an incredible opportunity. Look at the tools we have out there. I don't want to miss out. I don't want my family to miss out, but I don't want to know just enough to be dangerous. I want to learn how I could be successful. That's what the boot camp is all about. So I'm popping that link in there for you guys as well. That is the 4 full days of training. We're going to have homework, worksheets, sessions. You're going to meet all the Tradeway coaches. This is the 4-day boot camp. We did one last year, and it was one of the most highly rated events that we've ever done at Tradeway by students in the customer feedback that we got last year. So the boot camp is not to be missed. And if you're thinking about this, if you've been joining us on here and you've been wanting to learn to trade, you know, this is going to be a low risk, high reward investment for you. It is. It's a low risk, high reward because you can come in, you can spend 4 days. You're going to get to know us. We're going to get to know you. You're going to get a foundation and really understand how to start doing this for yourself. And if at the end of that, you're going, I don't really want to trade stocks, then you obviously you're going to have that decided for you. But I'm going to tell you right now that based on my experience and what we even did with the boot camp last year, you're not going to get to the end of that week and feel like you don't want to trade stocks. You're going to say, when can I get started? Because it's really going to help you feel empowered to get to that goal. And that's, of course, the point of the boot camp. So thank you, everybody, for being on here. If we don't have any closing questions, I've got links in there. If you're joining us on recording, you can still find those links in there as well. Through the end of the weekend, you can sign up for the boot camp. First session starts Monday morning, so you don't want to miss that. It's a major, major upgrade. And I will see you guys on Monday. We've got another episode coming up. Again, if you've got some things you'd like to cover in the future, make sure to send those over to me. You can always email support@tradeway.com, and I will get that. I can go ahead and consider that for a future episode. Would love to do that. I appreciate you guys being on here every Thursday night, every Monday. You're taking your time. You're joining us wherever you are tonight, if you're watching on recording as well. Appreciate you being here. I want to help you win. We're looking at these tools. I think they have the ability to bring a major upgrade. If you even hear something on the news next time, you can go ahead, jump over to your charting software and say, well, so-and-so said that that was a real great stock. Why don't I go ahead and take a look, put some of these skills to work that Blair talked about, and I can decide for myself what I think about this stock. That is a worthy investment. With that said, signing off.